play and call it work. MiniWarGaming's Faction Focus!
Hey there everybody, Quirk here from MiniWarGaming.com to give you the faction focus for the Harlequins. This is becoming probably one of my favorite things to look at right now, just because the Harlequins are amazing in every way possible. Just right off the bat, when you're looking at the Harlequins, they've got a new ability called the Rising Crescendo, which means units with this ability can advance and charge in the same turn, as well as when they fall back, they can still shoot and or charge in the same turn, which is ridiculous when you consider how amazingly powerful it is to be able to fall back from combat and still be able to act as normal. Now, when you're looking at the Harlequins, they have the Phantasmancy Discipline, so there's the 3 psychic powers. The first one is the Twilight Pathways. Now, this has a casting value of 6, but when you manifest it, any friendly Harlequin unit within 6 inches of the Psyker can immediately move as if it were the movement phase. But now you can only use this more. You can't use this more than once in each psychic phase. But when you consider how fast these Harlequins are, being able to move twice in the same turn is amazing. It makes you so fast. The ability to just kind of jump all over the board and just be everywhere you need to be when you need to be there is really, really good. So, along with that, they also have a special psychic power here called the Fog of Dreams. It's a casting value of 7. Any visible enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker, until your next psychic phase, your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls for that unit that target any Harlequin infantry units. So, makes the Harlequin infantry a little bit harder to hit. It doesn't work with the vehicles because the vehicles already have something that kind of works that way. They're Mirage launchers. I will get to them when I talk about the vehicles in general. But it's a good way to kind of keep your troops alive a little bit longer when they're starting to foot slog it or when they're exposed and outside of their transports. And the last psychic power that we have here is Mirror of Minds. It's got a warp charge value of 8. If manifested, you select an enemy unit within 24 inches of the Psyker, and both players roll dice. If the Harlequin player rolls equal to or higher than their opponents, the target that was targeted for the psychic power immediately suffers a mortal wound. You repeat this process until the unit is either destroyed, or the enemy player rolls higher than the result of the Harlequin player. So those are the psychic powers, those are the special abilities for the Harlequins. All in all, really, really good, really offensive, really fast, very Harlequin-y, absolutely love it. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of these guys, starting off with their troop choice, which is, well, the troop. So they have a base movement of 8 inches. Now that is ridiculously fast for just being a regular infantry guy. Being able to move 8 inches across the board is amazing. When you tie that in with Rising Crescendo, that means they can go 8 inches plus D6 and still charge. That's awesome. They have a weapon skill and ballistic skill of 3+. Their strength and toughness is also 3. They only have 1 wound but 4 attacks. Leadership 8 and a 6-up save. That's pretty good. The weapons they have available to them are all pistols. You have the Fusion Pistol, the Nero Disruptor, and the Shuriken Pistol. Now the Shuriken Pistol, their base one is a 12-inch range, pistol 1, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, but each time you roll to wound and you have a result of a 6, the AP of that weapon, or of that attack, is resolved at -3 instead of 0. So it's kind of their pseudo way of doing rending. I like it, but at the same time you're really relying on getting those 6s to wound. They're Nero Disruptor, and this is one I was a little bit disappointed in. It's been drastically changed from the way it was back in 7th edition. Back in 7th edition, it was a Poison 2+, AP 2 weapon, really, really good at just killing off anything with a 2-up save. Now it's a 12-inch range pistol, strength 3, AP -3, D3 damage, and if this weapon shoots against a vehicle, it only does 1 damage. Now, all in all, that sounds really good with the -3 and the D3 damage, but it's strength 3. It's going to have a hard time cutting through pretty much anything higher than toughness 3. So toughness 4 and up, you're only wounding on 5s. As soon as you get into toughness 6 through anything higher, you're wounding on 6s. So it gets really, really difficult to start hurting people with that Nero Disruptor. But the -3 AP is pretty good. And then lastly, my personal favorite, the Fusion Pistol, has a 6-inch range, but it's strength 8, AP -4, D6 damage. It works the exact same way as anything Melta, so if you're within half range, so 3 inches, you roll 2 dice when inflicting the damage, and then discard the lowest result. So it gives you a better chance of getting those really high damage results in there. But again, you got to get within 3 inches. Not incredibly difficult when you consider what you're able to do with the Harlequins and how fast they are, but still, it's something you have to keep in mind. The special abilities they have are the Rising Crescendo, so you're able to do that advance and charge as well as break away from combat and still shoot and charge. They also have a Flip Belt. Now the Flip Belt gives the unit the ability to move across models and terrain as if they weren't there. That's a huge thing when you consider how awesome it comes into play with the fallback from Rising Crescendo. It means that if you're swamped in with a unit, you can actually break away, go through that unit, get further into your enemy lines, take out some of their characters, some of their supports, things that are really they're using to rely on their army and to beef them up. Makes it really difficult to kind of screen from these models. Then the last thing they have here is a Hollow Suit. Now this is amazing. They have a 6-up save normally, but the Hollow Suit gives them a 4-up invulnerable save, making it so that they have a 50% chance of surviving any attack thrown their way. That means if you get hit with a Last Cannon, you get hit with Melta, you get hit with anything Strength 6 or higher that's wounding on 2s, you have a 4-up to just ignore it and keep these guys running up the board. They are regular infantry, they are just the troops, so that's going to be your baseline infantry. They're incredibly fast, but when you put them in vehicles, they become even faster. Now, one thing they did change about the Harlequins is they made your Troop Master an HQ choice, which is awesome. He has a couple special abilities. He is able to take all the same pistols as the troops. He also has access to all the melee weapons. Now, the Harlequins have access to these as well. You have things like the Harlequin's Blade, the Caress, the Embrace, the Harlequin's Kiss, and Prismatic Grenades. I'll get into those in a minute. But going over the Troop Master stat line, he has a 8-inch move, Weapon Skill, Blitz Skill 2+, 3+ Strength, 3+ Toughness, 5 wounds, 5 attacks, Leadership 9, 6-up save. He also has a Hollow Suit, so he does have the 4-up invulnerable save. He has a Flip Belt. He has Rising Crescendo. He also has a special ability called Cartographer of War, where all friendly units within 6 inches... Now, all friendly Masquerade. Now, this is their version of, like, clans and chapters and things like that. So all friendly Masquerade units within 6 inches of this model in the fight phase can re-roll failed wound rolls, which is pretty good when you consider how... Like, it increases your odds of being able to get those wounds in. Now, going with the Troop Master as well as all the troop, they have access to all these weapons. You're starting off with the Harlequin's Blade. It's Strength User, AP nothing, 1 damage apiece. It's your baseline weapon. It's your cheapest thing. You can take it with everybody. Moving from there, we've got the Harlequin's Caress. This is a Strength 5, AP -2, 1 damage attack. A little bit different than what it was before. The Strength 5 is really nice because that means you're wounding anything Toughness 4 or lower on 3s, possibly even 2s. It also gives you a little bit of an easier time when dealing with vehicles that are Toughness 8 because that means you're wounding them on 5s instead of 6s. Then moving along, we've got the Harlequin's Embrace. This is a Strength 4, AP -3, 1 damage. So a little bit weaker than the Harlequin's Caress, but a little bit easier to cut through the armor with -3 instead of the -2. Lastly, we've got the Harlequin's Kiss. It's a Strength 4, AP -1, but D3 damage. So if you're able to go into combat with some things that have multiple wounds, it's nice to have that there because it gives you a better chance of actually cutting through and killing stuff. The Troop Master also has access to a Power Sword, Strength User, -3 AP, 1 damage apiece. Then lastly on the equipment, we have the Prismatic Grenade. It's a 6-inch range grenade D6, Strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage apiece. It's nice to have that available to you, but it's probably not going to come up too much. Moving along from the Troop Master as an HQ, we have the other HQ. Now, these are the only 2 HQs you have available when you're playing the Harlequins, but that is the Shadow Seer. She has a 8-inch move, Weapon Skill 2+, Ballistic Skill 2+, Strength 3, Toughness 3, 5 wounds, 3 attacks, Leadership 9, and a 7+ save. Now, that 7+ save kind of is their way of saying she doesn't get a save. The only way she's going to get anything is if she's hiding in cover, or has some sort of a spell buffing her up, or anything like that, or just something to protect her. But baseline, she has no save. But she does have access to the Hollow Suit. She gets that default, so she has that 4-up invulnerable save. She has a Flip Belt. She has the Rising Crescendo. She also has access to the Misstav, which is a Strength +2, AP -1, D3 damage. So she's going to be hitting at Strength 5 in combat, which is quite nice. And she also has a special ability called Shield from Harm, where your opponent must subtract 1 from all wound rolls for any attacks made against this model, and for any attacks made against friendly Masquerade infantry units that are within 6 inches of 1 or more of this model with this ability. So she's able to kind of give you a little bit of a bubble wrap where even though you're Toughness 3, there's still going to be a good chance that your opponent's going to be needing 4s to wound. Otherwise, she is a Psyker. She can manifest 2 psychic powers in each psychic phase and attempt to deny 1 psychic power in each psychic phase. She knows Smite and 1 other psychic power from the Phantasmancy discipline. Kind of nice there. And lastly, she's the only one in the army who has access to a hallucinogen grenade launcher. It's Assault 1, 18-inch range, and the way it works is if you manage to land a hit, you roll 2 dice, compare that result from the 2 dice to your target's leadership. If you roll equal to or greater than their leadership, that model immediately suffers D3 mortal wounds. Kind of nice, but probably won't come up too much. She is required to take it, though. It's part of her initial loadout. The only thing that she can do is she can replace her Shuriken pistol with a Nero Disruptor. So that's it for your troops, and that's it for your HQ models. Let's move on to the elites. We've got the Death Jester. This is probably one of my bigger upsets for the Death Jester. I've tried him a couple times and find he's not the greatest model to have on the board. That being said, I'm sure he has his places that he's usable, but he has 8-inch move, Weapon Skill, Blitz Skill 2+, Strength 3, Toughness 3, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, Leadership 9, 6-up save, has the hollow suit, so he's got the 4 invulnerable save, has the flip belt so he can move across everything, and Rising Crescendo. He has a Shrieker Cannon. Now the Shrieker Cannon has 2 different firing modes. One is a Assault 3, Strength 6, AP nothing, 1 damage, but again if you roll 6s to wound, you're getting that -3 on the AP, which is quite nice. But he has a Strength 6, it's the Shrieker version, which is Assault 1, Strength 6, AP nothing, 1 damage. But if infantry model is slain by an attack made with this weapon, then the unit immediately suffers D3 mortal wounds. So it's not the same as the Bio Explode that he had back in 7th edition, and you are really relying on hoping that this one single shot kills a model. But if it does, then you're going to be able to sink in D3 more mortal wounds, so there's a chance you can kill a few extra things. He has the Deadly Hunter special ability, which means this model can target characters even if it's not the closest enemy unit. And then this is the kind of thing that upset me a little bit, but had me excited until I got to try it. His special ability, Death is Not Enough. So if any models flee from the unit in the same turn that they were attacked by this model. Now keep in mind the wording here is attacked by this model, not wounded, not hit, just attacked. So you can nominate him to shoot at a unit. Whether you hit, whether you wound, whether you kill, doesn't matter. As soon as you nominate him to shoot at that unit, this special rule will apply. But if any models flee from the unit, then you, the controlling player of the Death Jester, get to pick the first model that flees. Sounds really cool, but I'm noticing more and more that you really are trying to hit those characters with those shots. The only time it really comes into play is when you play against things like Space Marines or anybody who can include a special character in those units or some sort of special weapon in their unit, because then you want to pull that one. But otherwise, no, it's really not as good as I thought it was going to be. Plus, you're really relying on 2s to hit and most likely 3s to wound. And then you're hoping that your opponent doesn't pass their save, because the only way you're really modifying their save is with a 6 to wound. Then from there, we've got the Saltaire, one of my personal favorite models. He has a 12-inch move, so he can fly across the board. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 2, strength and toughness 3, 5 wounds, 8 attacks. Leadership 9, 6 up save, again has the impossible form, just like he did back in 7th edition, so the Saltaire has a 3 up invulnerable save, as well as the Rising Crescendo and a flip belt. And the weapons that the Saltaire comes with are things like the Harlequin's Caress and the Harlequin's Kiss. Pardon me. The Harlequin's Caress is a Strength 5, AP -2, 1 damage, and the Kiss is the Strength 4, -1, D3 damage apiece. Really, really cool there. He does have access to the Blitz move, as he did back in 7th edition. A little bit different, though, this time. It's once per battle. Instead of making a normal move with the Saltaire, you can make a Blitz move where you add 2d6 to the movement characteristic of this model, and then as well you add, you increase his attack characteristic to 10 for the rest of the turn. There is one stipulation, though. You can't use this ability if this model had been the target of Twilight Pathways psychic power in the previous psychic phase. Now, the Twilight Pathways is the one where the model gets to move again in the movement phase. So they've kind of got a way of cutting down so you can't just go, I'm going to move up, then cast this and move again, then next turn I'm going to blitz. Stops you from just firing the Saltaire bullet across the board. Then we go from all the troop stuff to the Skyweavers. These are the jet bikes. Now, these guys are ridiculous because, first off, they have the Rising Crescendo. So keep that in mind when you look at the fact that they have a 16-inch move. 16-inch move with weapon skill, blitz skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4, 3 wounds apiece, 3 attacks apiece, and a 4-up save with leadership 8. They have a haywire cannon attached to them normally. It's a 24-inch range, heavy D3, strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. But if you target a vehicle and roll a 4, this model immediately suffers a mortal wound in addition to any other damage it would suffer. If you happen to roll a 6+ on the target, it immediately suffers D3 mortal wounds instead of 1. So really good there for possibly taking out a vehicle or at least putting the hurt on it. And then you can swap down to the Shrieking Cannon. It's a 24-inch range, Assault 3, Strength 6, AP nothing, but each time you roll a 6 to wound, you get that AP -3, which is quite nice. And then by default, they have the Star Bolas, which is a 12-inch range, Grenade D3, Strength 3, AP -3, 1 damage apiece, or you can pay the points and swap that out for a Zephyr Glaive, which gives them +1 Strength, -2 AP, and 2 damage apiece. So that means they're going to be going into combat at Strength 4. Quite nice right there, but let's take a look at their actual special rules. First off, when you include the fact they have Rising Crescendo, which means they can advance and charge, plus their weapons are Assault, which means they can fire them after they advance, and it's just going to be at a -1. They have a special rule here called Blur of Color, which means when this unit advances, it moves 6 instead of having to roll a die. So you don't have to roll to try and see how far you go, you just automatically get that 6-inch move. So adding that plus their movement 16 means they are flying up the board with 22 inches, still being able to shoot, still being able to assault, And then to add just insult to injury, they have Mirage Launchers, so your opponent has to actually subtract 1 from any to hit roll made against the unit in the shooting phase. So they suddenly become incredibly difficult to hit. With that 4-up invulnerable save, with that 4-up armor save, flying across the board, next to impossible to stop, and they're just really good at taking out whatever you need them to. With that Haywire Cannon, you can tackle vehicles. With the Zephyr Glaive doing 2 damage apiece, at -2 AP, you're able to cut through a lot of heavy infantry. Even if it's multi-wound infantry, you're going to be seeing these guys flying across the board and doing a ton of damage. Next up, we have the Starweaver. This is the transport for your troop squad as well as your characters and things like that. They have a movement of 16 inches, weapon skill, bliss skill 3+, strength and toughness 5, 6 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 4-up save. Also has a Mirage Launcher. Also has a hollow field. It also has the rule Blur of Color, so it automatically gets that advance of 6 inches. And add insult to injury and make them even more amazing, they are open topped. So, considering the fact that they're open top means that you can have that vehicle move to within 12 inches, move to within 6 inches, you can have all the guys inside fire their pistols at whatever you want, and suddenly if you have fusion pistols, you are just wrecking vehicles. If you have shuriken pistols or those neuropulsars, you are wrecking infantry. It's fantastic. And then on top of that, the Starweaver is actually equipped with 2 shuriken cannons, so that's going to be 6 shots coming from that, hitting on 3s, strength 6, AP minus nothing, but unless you get a 6 to wound, it's -3, and 1 damage apiece. That is amazing. Lastly on the list here for the for the Harlequins is the Void Weavers. Now I haven't had too much experience with these guys. I like the weapons that they have available to them. They have the exact same profile as the Star Weaver, so they have the Blur of Color, they have Hollow Fields, they have Mirage Launchers. Both of them have the Explode, so you have to watch out when they die. There's a chance they could go kablooey and take out a couple things there. It's automatically within 6 inches and it's just 1 mortal wound, but still that could be enough to take out a troop or take out the last wound on one of your characters or something like that. But the Void Weavers come default with a Haywire Cannon. That's the 24-inch range, heavy D3, strength 4, -1 AP, 1 damage against vehicles. You automatically cause a mortal wound on a 4 to wound. On a 6, you cause D3 mortal wounds. But they also have access to the Prismatic Cannon. So Prismatic Cannon has 3 different firing modes. The first one is Dispersed. It makes it a heavy D6, strength 4, -2 AP, 1 damage apiece. Great for taking out infantry. You have the Focused, which is heavy D3, strength 6, AP -3, D3 damage, which is good for taking out your medium infantry or putting a little bit of hurt on things like bikes and smaller vehicles and stuff like that. Lastly, you have the Lance one, which is a heavy 1, strength 8, AP -4, and D6 damage. You're going to be firing that at vehicles, hoping to crack through that armor. You're hoping to get that 1 hit because it is hitting on 3s, but that D6 damage is amazing because it's just going to start taking off hull points or wounds on vehicles, and it's just one of those things your opponent cannot avoid. But that's pretty much it. It also has 2 shuriken cannons just like the Starweaver, and then it has, again, Blur of Color, Hollow Fields, and Mirage Launcher. So that's going to be it for all the stuff that you get with the Harlequins in their detail there. Guys, don't forget to click in the link in this video description below. I'm going to go over the tactics that you can do with these guys. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to go into extreme detail because I love just the intricacies of these, the faction of Harlequins, the abilities that they have with their movement, with their fallback, with the Rising Crescendo, when you tack on some of the weapons they can take, when you look at some of the formations, well, not formations, but just the ways you can run them and things that they're able to do and things that they're able to tackle. They are a lot better than they were in 7th, guys. You are definitely going to want to check that out, so I definitely recommend go ahead and click that link below. If you're not already a Vault member, you can go ahead and click that link anyway. It'll give you access to a 7-day free trial where you can see all of our faction focuses, as well as all the tactics and things that we do, as well as extra battle reports, behind the scenes, open vaults, and stuff. So hopefully we will see you in there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the Harlequins, and until next time, happy wargaming.